left by the mountain, down the valley.
Hi guys, Luton here, and today I'm going to be showing you a live mission that I created using Zeus on the Ahoy World server. This is one of the best things about Zeus, is that you can put together completely custom missions within the live game field. It really works fantastically, and I'm going to talk you through just kind of how it progressed. It took quite a long time, over an hour, for the guys to actually complete this objective. Now right here up on the hillside, what we've got is the enemy OPFOR base. And this is a kind of sort of interior defense section right here. This is the main base itself, and the objective for the guys is to primarily take out an attack helicopter, you know, a new design of attack helicopter that they have to get in and destroy it on the ground. We've got some rear towers and air defense right here, and they're moving in here. This is where the main infantry defense is. Here is the attack helicopter they have to take out. They have to get in, destroy that, and then the secondary objective is to fully clear that base out as well. It's quite heavily defended. It's nestled here within this small valley, and as you can see, there's enemy special forces in waiting here, defending the base all around. So the public team move in several waves across the east and north section to kind of come in here, and we're going to talk through as it goes on some live comms from the guys in game as well.
See a compound at about 245.
I can see they're shooting at us when I engage them.
Yeah, I think we're getting contact from RP1. Check your map for RP1. Point at which we're getting engaged at from is RP1, so that's where we're going to move to first. We'll secure that little base impound over there.
So here we are at the eastern forward position for the OPFOR. As you can see, there's a Mora defending here, and it's kind of entrenched with defences. This whole section on the east side is quite open. It has a lot of open ground to cover, and it's actually quite difficult. The guys start to make an effort to push through, take out this, as we'll see, but ultimately it's quite a difficult route of entry into the base, and that's why they end up sort of opting for other choices. But let's go on and see how this plays through. Here we are on the southeast ridge at the real perimeter of the base, and you can see it's very, very open, you know, and there's light armour moving around, there's infantry squads moving around, this guy trying to engage that light armour, but they have very little defence on actually moving up through this section right here. And again, it's another reason why, you know, actually looking back on it, it would have been preferential for them to kind of maybe come in on the south-southwest side rather than the east, as they are coming right here. But it's pretty good actually, because the guys have to fight real hard. They have to cross this ridgeline section to move up here where this light armour is and where the further infantry is. But look at these guys. You know, this is something else I wanted to talk about with this video. This video, you know, how tough the AI can be, because the AI can be really, really good in Arma. And a lot of the time on my videos I see people talking about the AI and sort of saying like, oh, you know, why would you want to play with AI, it's boring, it sucks. It's not, it's really hard sometimes, especially in Arma, and depending on, you know, how they've been set up and so on. But a lot of the time they're very engaging, and I mean, for example, watch this right here. I think, as I remember, the guys coming in here, more infantry reinforcements, dropping off a squad to move in. Now these guys are moving straight down into this little gully here, getting into some defensive cover. But then as the Orca is moving out, taken away, and you know, the AI, there we go, straight away, AI, they're really not holding back, you know, these guys are engaging at massive range, and there we go, taken down, straight away. So you can't mess around, you know, you got to keep your distance, you got to be careful, you got to check, you got to recon, you got to look at everything that's happening in the game and work out what is the best way to play it. And these guys right here, this squad, are be moving up on the southeast ridge and trying to get in on those infantry squads. And this is one of the things that's really great about Arma, and one of the things that a lot of people very much enjoy about the game, is that no mission is kind of over instantaneously. Often you have to work towards an objective. It's a lot of point-to-point movement. You move up onto a position, you assess the threat, you deal with it if necessary, and then you move on, do more recon. So it's very much this kind of point-to-point, moving with your squad, communicating with other people in the area, finding out what's happening, calling in support if you need it, and you just have this whole sort of fluid motion of objective play. That's one of the things that's so fantastic about the game, despite all the horrific flaws in it. The overarching feeling of playing with other people that are working together for an objective. And sometimes it doesn't work out like this. Right now these guys, you can see, are working really hard. They're pushing for this objective. They're working together very tactically. But you'll have days, you'll have crazy days where people are just blowing everything up. But when you can get that gameplay, which I have to say is the majority of the time, it works out really good. Okay, back here we are at the forward position of OPFOR on the east side, and the Mora has moved out from the base. Look at these guys going in right here. This is really great about Arma. If it's stationary like this and you can get the drop on it, I have to say it's unusual to be able to get in that close. That guy must have just been very lucky to be in the right place at the right time. But he's getting caught out a little bit by the tank there. He's not happy about this. But then amazingly, just after he's placed this one charge, check this out, his friend comes in and lays another charge.
I think I got it mobilized.
But even then it's not a clean kill. And the tank operators get out and engage. As you can see, yet again, the AI, they're pretty uncompromising. They really don't mess around, and if they see you, they're going to open fire and put you down so fast. That's one of the things about the AI in Arma. If they see you, you're dead a lot of the time. Unless you are prepared to take them down, they're going to drop you so fast. Okay, here we go. Back up onto the East Ridge. This is the East Ridge front line right now. There is a lot of enemy infantry here, and you can see them just over this crest of the hill here. These two guys, I'm not sure, were entirely aware just how many infantry were right next to them, because they're aiming off in the distance looking for targets. They haven't noticed the entire squad off to their left hand side here, and they start taking a little bit of fire. And again, the AI can be kind of variable in this game. Good use of smoke here. They're dropping smoke. They unfortunately dropped smoke the wrong way. I think they knew they were taking fire from someone. They wanted to make sure they could be safe, kind of move forward a little bit right here, but they put it the wrong side. But yeah, the AI, sometimes the AI in Arma can be kind of static. They can be kind of stationary, they don't really move, they don't really engage. But other times, like you'll see here, they're really proactive, and once they find out a target, they'll move to you. I've had the same situation where I've been on a ridge, and if they can't get a clean shot on you, they'll start coming for you, and they'll send other units up to try and get you. And that's what's happening right here with these two guys. Their position's been notified, and the AI enemy are closing in on them. That's why they're flanking right here.
Shit. My sorry about that.
Those traces you can see coming over there are actually friendly. So the guys right here, really in the thick of it. They've walked right into the middle of a nest of enemy, multiple squads here on the left, multiple squads in front, so they're really right in the middle of it all. You see how this AI guy is kind of pursuing their position. He's not running straight in. He's making a careful flank up onto the targets. That unit there had obviously already been killed by the fire. But we've still got multiple friendly units up here on the hill as well. And that's also a really good thing, is that sometimes the AI, they can move right past you. I've had this as well. If you lie prone and still, if they haven't got a direct sight on you previously, they will go past you as a player would, which is a really good thing. This is good in Zeus right here. I was bringing this up to just have a little look on what's happening, but you can see Rick here and a couple of the other guys, they're right in the middle of it all. And I was checking on this guy Rick where he's heading off to. He was trying to move right in on the line, but again, moving up a little bit too fast and hasn't checked the area. That's why you got to really recon. Got to really check this area, and he comes the worse off for it. And again, it's another Mora off to the southeast side here, patrolling the area. That's why it's so important in Arma, and it's like if you rush, and it happens all the time. People come in with Arma and they try to play it the same way as other FPS. They try to rush, they try to just run in. It doesn't work. You'll get picked off. You've got to scout, you've got to make sure that area is clear, and you've got to work up with your team. If you go in solo, often, you know, you're really going to struggle. You may get lucky the odd time, but more often than not, you won't. So here we are back up on the northeast side, and a lot of the guys were finding that it was very difficult on that eastern area and the southeast. It was very hot. There's a lot of areas they have to cross, you know, an open ground. They get stuck on those ridges, and so this squad decided that they're going to make a move forward. They're going to try and come in on the north side and see how that handles a little bit differently. And as you can see, the towers in the distance, they've got a lot of ground to cover before they actually reach the objective. So we pick up them here at the northern interior, and you can see this squad moving in, preparing to assault the enemy defences. You can see straight away as well they're getting engaged by the enemy immediately. They're taking a lot of fire. They're really going to have to get stuck in on it. And this was one of the things when I was creating the mission. I didn't want it to be easy and they just walk in from any area. You know, that you want to feel that they have like a bit of a fight and they actually push forward in on their base. You see this guy gets picked off straight away right there. This is one reason why it's really important to keep your medic back. If you've got a medic in the squad, the medic shouldn't be up front. Because if the medic's up front and gets taken out, that's it. You've got no way of bringing your guys back. So the medic should always be holding that kind of, you know, bringing up the rear position really. Or at least the sort of rear back side of your squad. But the fighting here actually became so intense that the guys were really struggling to make any headway. And sometimes when a mission is very difficult, you actually start to bring Arma into play. And that's what the guys do right here. They bring up this Marshal, and they bring the Arma in onto the game. And it's really good to see this, because when you start bringing Arma into the game, it adds like a whole nother dimension, a whole load of, you know, new depth to the mission. It's really good to see it. Sometimes you see people and they have like a little bit too much armor. You may have sort of 2-3 tanks or something, and that can be a little bit overpowering, because if they're working well, they can end up sort of taking out everything in the first 5 minutes. But with a well set up mission, it should still be a struggle. You can see the first assault team have actually moved forward at this time, and I'm going to leave you with those guys as they move in onto this area.
We captured it.
Can we drive it?
Yeah, we can drive it.
Now the guys here have commandeered an enemy vehicle, but they haven't really scouted any further forward than they are right now, and that's a pretty dangerous thing to do, because you're essentially going into an unknown area, and knowing that this base is pretty heavily defended, it's not necessarily the wisest plan. You can see the Marshal coming into play here just on the hill on the right there. The Marshal is taking heavy fire from those forward positions on the ground there. Again, some of that armor hasn't been neutralized from the enemy, and so even though they brought it all this way, again, you know, making sure that you recon the area, and that Marshal's been instantly disabled. So even though they brought it into play, it's not really done enough. Okay, now this little forward assault team are really being a little bit reckless here. They ran straight in onto the base, and they're trying to provide cover fire, but there is a hell of a lot of enemy here. And they are really stirring up the hornet's nest right now. And then they're going in trying to take out this helicopter. There's no way this guy's going to make it. He's so near and so far. But the actual downside to what these guys were doing right here is they really, like I said, they've stirred up a hornet's nest, and the enemy in the base right now are starting to patrol, they're starting to sweep, they're not staying in their static positions anymore, they're starting to move around the area, take better positions, and so they've actually made the mission more difficult for the guys right here. This is the second assault team. They are now moving up to forward reinforce the guys who have already kind of moved forward to the initial outskirts, and they're crossing the area right here to clear any remaining targets and try and move in on that objective. And this is one of the other things that's really great about Arma that I enjoy, is that you can just join in on a game and you don't necessarily always have to communicate tons with the other players. You can just watch what they're doing, follow their lead. You can use your initiative, and like this guy right here, he's just moving up on his friend. You know, you don't necessarily need to know the other players. You can just follow their lead, just stay behind them, move point to point, engage targets as necessary, and use the in-game comms, and it works really well. And it's good to see that compared to other games which, you know, you basically just have, you know, very little of that anymore. And, you know, bearing in mind, of course, that Arma is primarily a tactical game. But this guy right here is playing very well. He's moving carefully. Sees an enemy target, eliminates it without wasting too much ammo. And again, that's good communication from this guy here, shouting out friendly so the guys know not to fire. But again, anybody who criticises the AI in Arma, that guy just got wiped out. And what that is, AI soldier right here. When we were live in game, even I didn't see this guy. This is an AI soldier that's been left stray. And he's just dug himself in, he's just waiting. I was quite surprised to see an AI soldier doing this. And it just goes to show that, you know, you can't sort of take the enemy as just being totally stupid. You know, they will put themselves in a good position and they will try to take you out. This guy, rather than risk dealing with him, actually moves on at this time, but if that was me, I'd probably have thrown a little grenade in here. But yet again, the guy tries to solo the base without checking or reconning it properly, and he gets absolutely hammered. He gets ragdolled all over the place right there. But again, you know, it just shows when you're trying to take on a well-defended enemy base, you can't go storming in there solo. It's not going to happen. Okay, back on the southeast perimeter right now. We've got scouts reinforcing. And the scout helicopter bringing in a small infantry contingent. Again, you don't always need to wait for a full helicopter, providing the pilot's willing to take you. You can come out in 1s and 2s and regroup with your friends on the ground. You don't always have to go with a full helicopter squad. Sometimes that can be a good thing, sometimes not. But you really have to always respect the pilot's decision as to what's going to happen there, because a lot of the time people are shouting, you know, let's go here, take me to this position, do this. You got to really sort of trust the pilot and let him choose what's going on, because sometimes he'll have a lot more information having been back and forth between the base that you don't have. Okay, back onto the north side, and again we've got a second or even I suppose third assault wave coming in right now. More guys. The abandoned marshal still there, damaged. Now these guys are moving much better than the previous two assaults. They're moving more coherently as a squad, but looking back in on the tower right here, and you can see that the enemy AI are more than ready for them, starting to lay that fire down. Friendly's just here behind the rocks and the barricades. Now here's one of the great things about Zeus, is that I can just drag, select targets, move that AI, get them into a better position. Now notice as well, I'm not targeting directly the enemy, the friendly players rather, because I don't want to sort of give the enemy AI too much of an advantage or too much of an unrealistic position. What I'm doing is I'm just moving those guys, trying to bring them into play and trying to make, you know, a more interesting situation, a situation with a little bit more depth for the friendly players that are moving in on here. And that's what Zeus is really all about. That's why you need kind of responsible people to be using Zeus on a server, because really what it's for is for creating these kind of interesting objective situations for the players. You don't want to just be creating stupid things that are unwinnable, or there's just, you know, every time people try to move near, the AI just one hit takes them out. You want to just provide fluid, you know, good, interesting situations for the guys on the ground. You can probably see some of the barricades floating there. Sometimes when you're placing objects into the game, it doesn't work perfectly. There we go, there's the helicopter down, and the guys have taken that out with a rocket. So that's the primary objective complete. They'll move on to the secondary objective of clearing out the base. But yeah, this was one of the earlier missions that I actually made, and I've gotten a lot more refined with actually placing my objects and how to interact with these things right now, making sure that everything's perfect. So right now in Zeus, I'm setting up the secondary objective for the guys. Just set it right there. Clear out the base from all enemy units. And here's a great little tool in Zeus. You can just create a little title like this. Just adds a little bit of a cinematic quality for the guys on the ground. Everybody on the server will see that pop up. And again, it just gives everyone a little reminder of what they're doing and what's happening. So the friendly units have pretty much taken control of the base at this point, and they're constantly being reinforced from guys on the ground. It's just a case of moving around, identifying those targets and clearing this base section here to fully complete the mission. And here we are back on the north deployment. You can see an Orca again bringing in fresh troops. So the friendlies really have got good control of the situation right now, and it's only a matter of time before they clear the base. But it's interesting what happens with the Orca right here. And this goes back to what I was saying earlier about, you know, trying to understand with your pilot. This pilot's a little bit reckless for my liking, but it just goes to show that if you, as a player, are asking pilots to move around a, you know, hot area, there's often things that you don't know that are there. And often, you know, the pilot probably in this situation was feeling like, yeah, the base is under control, you know, we've cleared the primary objective, nothing to worry about. What he doesn't know is there's an anti-aircraft squad and anti-aircraft tank on the backside of this hill that have not yet been identified. And he gets absolutely slammed into the ground for it. And that's why it's better to play it safe than sorry, always in Arma, especially on these missions. You know, you don't know if you haven't seen it or it hasn't been checked out. You don't know what's there, and just flying over it is way too dangerous. Here's the anti-aircraft team sitting on the end of the peninsula right there, and this tank, which will need to be taken out by the friendly forces. Okay, moving back into the base, and hey, check it out, Marshall's back in play. Some of the guys have actually repped up the Marshall and brought it back in to finish completing the base. And it's taken out a tank right there. So the Marshall, which had interestingly been taken out earlier on, is now back in play and helping to clear out the base here finally. So there we are, that is essentially Operation Eagle, just that final anti-aircraft tank and squad to get taken down. And I hope you enjoyed this one. I do a lot of these. I've had a few good missions on Ahoy World that have played out really, really well. Everybody always seems to really enjoy them. So the next one that I do, I'll try and record it and maybe try and do a live, full playthrough version of it. Trouble is, often they're pretty long, you know. They often take quite a long amount of time, a lot of editing involved for me. So I'll try and maybe do a sort of more simplistic mission, see if I can't do a whole just one playthrough of that. So I hope you enjoyed today, guys. If you have, please drop a little like as always. Always helps me out very much. Leave a comment below. I'll see you next time for some more Arma 3 on Zeus.